Back, we're going to have a worksheet over this too. I'm going to be honest with you, if you don't pay attention today, okay, you're going to be lost. Straight up. I mean, this is one of those concepts that really isn't that bad, okay, but you've got some steps that you need to follow. And so the first thing we're going to talk about is how can you multiply two matrices together. First thing you have to do is look at the dimensions of each matrix. And so that's what this m by n and n by p are. Those are the dimensions of each matrix. So m by n is the dimensions of matrix A. N by p are the dimensions of matrix B. Now, in order for you to be able to multiply two matrices together, these two have to match. Now, when I say match, they have to be the same number. If they are not, you cannot multiply the matrices and you're done. Okay. If those numbers match, your resulting matrix will have the dimensions m by p. Okay? So basically, it's like you eliminate the middle, and the remaining dimensions will be the m by p. And so now, what we need to do is we're going to actually look at a few examples on your expressions. So is the matrix product defined? So could you take A times B? Based on what I told you, I want you to answer yes or no. So could you take A times B? Okay, so go ahead and take a guess. Let's go.
My expression is having some. Oh, there it goes.
So let's go ahead and see what the answer is.
Yes. This top has two digits. It is yes.
Oh boy. Okay, let's. Somehow, something's not working right. Okay, let's. Okay, anyway, is it defined yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, and what is your resulting answer going to be? a 3 by 2. Okay? With that in mind, is this matrix product defined? Yes or no? Evidently, we're having some technical difficulties here. We'll try and... No. Okay, good. We at least got the expressions working. If you notice, if I pair up the 5 by 4 and I pair up the 5 by 2, the middles don't match, so it is not defined. Okay? You can't.
So does that
you would just write not defined.
Can't solve it, or it's just not
right.
defined?
You would just write not defined. So let's go and look at this next one. Maybe. Okay, we're having more technical difficulties. Okay, is that one defined, yes or no?
No.
No. Okay. Let's look at this one. Is this one defined?
Yes.
What would the resulting matrix be?
4 by 2.
4 by 2. Okay, so now we're actually going to see if we can multiply these together. Sorry, evidently the expressions are not working. So very first, what we need to do is we need to find the dimensions of each matrix. What are the dimensions of X?
2 by 4.
2 by what?
2.
2. What's the dimensions of Y? A 2 by 2. Remember, it's rows by columns. And so then now you compare. So can I multiply X times Y?
Yes.
Yes. My resulting matrix will be a 2 by 2. So now, here we go. And if those of you that have colors, you might want our like pens or whatever, it's probably going to help if you could do that.
And color code the steps?
Yeah, probably would.
How many steps are there?
You'll see. Okay, so let's go ahead and start. You are always going to start with the first matrix. The first matrix will deal with rows only. The second matrix will deal with columns. So rows with the first, columns with the second. So I'm going to take row 1 times column 1. And this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the first number times the first number. So do you see where I got the 6 times negative 5? I'm going to add that to the second number times the second number. So I took first times first plus second times second. Okay, first times first, second times second. That's step one. Okay. So I did that with row 1. Now I'm going to do row 1, column 2. So I'm going to take 6 times what? -4, and I'm going to add that to -3 times 7. So first times first plus second times second. Okay. So far, so good. So now, I've already used row 1, and I've multiplied it by the column, so now I'm going to do the same thing with row 2. So I'm going to take row 2 times what?
Row 1.
Column 1. So I'm going to take -10 times what number? -5. And I'm going to add that to -2 times 3. What am I going to do now? Row 2, column 2. -10 times what? -4 plus -2 times 7. Good. So now all we have to do is do those calculations and we're done. That's the answer. A 2 by 2 is probably one of your easier ones to do. So let's go ahead and calculate. I know 6 times -5 is -30, and -3 times 3 is -9. So basically, I'm going to kind of all do these little multiplications, and then I will go ahead and add the like terms together in my final answer. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. What will be my first number in the matrix? -39, because it's -30 plus 9. Okay. What's the next one going to be?
-45.
-45. Nice job. Okay, let's move to row 2. What do I get from row 2? 44. And what do I get from the next one? 26. So there you go. It's really not that bad if you actually are paying attention and you kind of know what you're doing, okay? If you've kind of spaced off, hopefully you'll kind of come back to us on this next example. And we'll try and get this one together again. Okay. So the first matrix, 5, 9, -3, -2. The next matrix is 2, -1, 6, 5. So what are the dimensions of the first matrix? 2 by 2. Very good. That's what you have to start off with every time. What are the dimensions of V? A 2 by 2. So these match. So my resulting answer will be a 2 by 2. All right, so let's go ahead and start. So where do I start in matrix U?
5.
I start with the row, right?
Yeah.
And I take that times the column. So I take 5 times 2 plus 9 times 6. Okay, so you don't distribute that 5 to both. It only goes to the first one. So now I'm going to take the 5 and the 9, and where am I going to go? To the second column. So I'm going to take 5 times -1 plus 9 times 5. So where do I go next? Second row. Yep. So what's the second row look like? Negative 3 times 2. Negative 2 times 6. And so notice how those numbers match up in the parentheses, the 2's and the 6's? Okay, that's not a coincidence. That should happen. And I'm going to take row 2 times column 2, and what do I get? Negative 3 times negative 1 plus negative 2 times 5. Good. Now, is this something necessarily where you're going to need to write out like everything I've done? You might not have to. Okay. So I'm just going to go through now and kind of do the math, the short little problems. So I'm going to do 5 times 2, which is 10. 9 times 6, which is 54. 5 times negative 1, which is negative 5. 9 times 5, which is 45. What do I get for my bottom row? That's a 5. Sorry, you can't read that last one in the green very well. That's mine. So what will I get for my matrix? 64, 40, negative 18, and negative 7. There you go. Okay, now they aren't all going to be easy like that. Okay, that's a 2 by 2. Okay, we're actually going to look at this one right here.
Oh, cancel it.
What are the dimensions of matrix A? It's a 2 by 3 because it's 2 rows by 3 columns. What's this one?
3 by 2.
3 by 2.
You can do it.
You can, and you will get a 2 by 2 as your resulting matrix.
The heck? It's probably a good. Do you like this? Yeah, what are we going to use this This makes us intelligent. My mom told me.
So what am I going to do? I'm going to take row 1 times column 1. So now this one, instead of having 2 terms, actually has 3. So you're going to take first times first, plus second times second, plus third times third. Okay. So let's start with first times first. So I'm going to take 1 times 2 plus second times second. So 3 times negative 2 plus third times third. Negative 5 times 1. Okay. So that's your very first term. Now we've got to go ahead and do row 1 times column 2. One times 3 plus 3 times negative 8 plus negative 5 times 7. So once again, first times first plus second times second plus third times third. So where are we going to move to now? Second row, first column. Okay. So I'm going to take 4 times 2 plus negative 2 times negative 2 plus 0 times 1. I'm going to now take row 2 times column 2. So what do I get? 4 times 3 plus negative 2 times negative 8 plus 0 times 7. All right, so now I'm just going to go through and do the little problems. So 1 times 2, I get 2. Negative 6, negative 5. 3, negative 24, negative 35. 8, 4, and 0. And what do you get from the last? And 0. So finally, I just need to go ahead and figure out what those numbers all add up to be. So I've got 2, negative 6, and negative 5. Negative 9. Next one, I have 3, negative 24, and negative 35, which is negative 56. Yep. 8, 4, and 0. And then 12, 16, and 0. There you go. Okay, now, remember what I said, we're going to continue with this on Tuesday. So on Tuesday, you're going to have a worksheet. This is what you need to work on from this section, page 184, 15 through 34. Now, real quick, if you turn to page 184, okay? If you turn to page 184, you're going to notice, okay, that when I start with 15, the first 6 problems are nothing more than identifying yes or no, you can multiply them. And if so, these are the new dimensions. Okay? Yes. So, I'll go ahead and leave you to that. Remember, we will continue with this on Tuesday.
Use these past